Welcome back to the Nullified Take channel here on YouTube, where we've got the TNT takes for you on the Challenge Australia. I'm joined here today by one of the contestants that got eliminated in week 2 of the Challenge Australia, Jessica Brody. Jessica, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. It's so good to meet you. We found out yesterday when you left the show that you're a fan of the challenge. So I was kind of interested to know, did you become a new fan when you realized you were going to go onto the show, or were you a fan prior to that?
Yeah, so I've been a fan for a couple of years. I've probably since just before, when was it? I think Lies, Spies, and Allies was the first season I watched, but then I kind of backtracked and, watched a few other seasons as well. So, yeah, and now I watch them live every Thursday. I'm like, 12 o'clock, get me in there. Yeah.
It's great to talk to a fellow challenge fan.
Yeah.
Now, running the risk of being judged here, who's your favorite player from the actual
CT.
seasons? CT?
CT.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
you won't get any hate for that. CT is much loved within the challenge community, so I think you're fine with that.
No.
So going onto the show and being a fan of the show, how did actually being out there sort of compare to what you saw on the show? Like, how did it compare to your expectations going into this?
Well, firstly, putting on the challenge jersey with my name on it was like the most surreal experience. I felt like a superhero. But just doing the challenges, I mean, one thing is that they look a lot easier on television than they are. They're so physically demanding. I'm a very fit person, and I was consistently out of breath. I like it was extreme. This is hard for I run every single day, and these things were just so much harder than I anticipated. And then on top of that, the house dynamic is just really difficult to navigate. You switch off your guard and relax for one moment, and that could be you on the chopping block. So every little thing you say and do is being scrutinized in there, and it's just such a difficult game. I didn't anticipate it to.
Sort of, you mentioned that you let your guard down and potentially that could be the end of your game. Was there anyone in specifically out there that you played with that you felt the most betrayed by in going into this elimination, or did you sort of see it coming based on the move you did in the previous episode?
I didn't really see it coming. I mean, I think I was disappointed being paired with David. I didn't feel like we had great communication, and I know that your partner is everything. You're only as good as your partner and your teamwork. So I went in with a slight defeatist attitude, and I kind of almost felt like I had already lost, which I think was part of my downfall. I got too, you have to maintain your strength going in there. Yeah, so you've just got to maintain your confidence in yourself, because as soon as you start to think, okay, I might not have this, is when you're going to start to get panicked. And it's a pressure situation, so you have to have some confidence in yourself. And I think that was where I slipped up. And I think that, yeah, I definitely should have tried to fly a little bit more under the radar. That's when you see these challenge champs do so well, is they're under the radar until you get to just before the finals, and then they start making power moves. And I think I just tried to make power moves too early, and that was my downfall.
Well, I will say this, that you did impress me by being so bold in the beginning and making moves and coming across as a very strong competitor. And I was really sad to see you go this early on. So sometimes it's good to be remembered rather than forgotten. So I hope that they don't lose your number if the Challenge Australia season 2 does happen. You did say at the end of that you would come back and play again. Do you still feel the same?
I would definitely jump straight back into the challenge. I feel like I'm a part of the challenge family now. My dream is to do the US version of the challenge. I kept saying to them when I was there, I was like, I need to play with CT. I need to play with CT. Put me in with CT. Let's go. I want to play with these big names, and I want to do it big. So that's the goal.
Have you been able to communicate with anybody in the Challenge USA or the MTV version? Have you had contact with anyone since you've become a part of the family?
Yeah. So I'm pretty close with Devin, and we speak pretty regularly. Friends with Nelson, Josh, Tori, Jay. Love Jay. He's great. But yeah, mostly Devin. Like Devin and I speak most days, and we've become really close. I think he's great. He's like awesome. A mini CT,
Yeah, definitely has a little bit of spice to him as well, which is always fun to watch when he's on TV. But you've been out there, you've done this challenge now once before, and you've seen a lot of these Australian competitors on the show. Who would you want to be paired up with if you had to go back out there and be attached to one specific player?
Definitely Grant. I from the get go, Grant and I wanted to, that was always the goal, and I think that he's a really strong competitor. He's a great social game, and yeah, I would love to be paired with Grant. I think he's a very good contender.
So this was actually a question I was really interested in. So I'm glad
Yeah.
you're back for this one. So
Yeah.
you came onto the show and you said that you didn't want to be known as the girl that's been on some of these love shows and you wanted to be seen as a competitor. Can you talk a little bit about why you felt that way and what sort of brought you to that mindset coming in from this bachelor sort of experience that you've had before? Why did you feel like this was important to you on the show?
So there's a multitude of reasons. One is my self-esteem and just going and proving to myself that I'm only 5'1", I'm quite small in stature. So to prove to myself that I'm just as capable as anybody else in there of, going in and winning these daily challenges and, just being a badass and playing this game and doing that. But it was also about being more than just a pretty face. I knew that I was going to get muddy, I was going to get dirty, I was going to be wearing ugly clothes and doing all this stuff, and I was going to be terrified at points, and it was not going to be my most flattering angle. And I thought I need to let go of that side of things and just show what I really have to offer. And, myself, like so many other people, have so much more to offer than just my looks. And I wanted to show the public that as well. And I think that was just why it was so imperative for me to go in and be more than just a love interest.
Yeah. And obviously, you sort of fall into the trap of getting a little bit entangled with Johnny on the show. So it's almost a little bit of that, habit of having someone on a show such as this. Did you stay in contact with Johnny afterwards? Do you guys still talk? Where are you sitting at the moment?
So one thing they actually didn't show was, after Johnny slept in my bed that one night and, we had a cuddle or whatever. It was quite innocent. We just kissed. There was nothing really more to it. It looks sus because it's in a bed, but it wasn't like that. And then the next day, we both sort of said, like, nope, we don't want to do this on television. This is not the place, not the time. And then a day later, we gravitated back towards each other and just kind of accepted that we just really liked being around each other. So we were super close the whole time. And then when we both were back in Australia, we did spend time together and that connection was still there. I still speak with him every day and we're very close, but we're also, we're in different states and there's a lot more to it. And I think that sometimes these things don't really just translate into the real world. You sort of look for someone for protection in that environment, and he was sort of my safe person in there, and I've got nothing but love and appreciation for him. But whether or not that translates into a relationship in the real world is very different. And so, yeah, I don't know what it is moving forward, but at the moment, there's nothing romantic going on between Johnny and I.
And you kind of started a bit of an alliance in a group there with Grant, Ryan, and Johnny. What made you gravitate towards that group? And were you aware that they were feeling threatened by the numbers on the Bachelor side, and specifically the guys that were working with the Bachelor girls?
Yeah, so there was actually on night one, we all go and choose our rooms, and I was choosing a bedroom with the two Brooks. And we went and chose a room together, and there was 4 beds, and we're like, who else will we get? Oh, we'll get Connor. And then when I came back into the room, I noticed that they'd all moved into a different room, and it was just my jersey and 3 empty beds. And then the boys came in and were like, all right, we're sleeping in here. And I was like, okay. So I was sharing this tiny little room with those 3 boys, and it ended up being a really great thing because, I was kind of forced into this alliance with these 3 guys. They're 3 really, really strong guys. Grant and I got along from, we have a few days before we start filming where we get to know each other, and Grant and I had already decided that we wanted to be partnered up together if we were able to choose. And so that alliance just kind of came together, and we just had the best time. Now, I knew that they were definitely threatened by Conrad and Kieran, both really strong competitors. Kieran was in the army, so doing stuff like this is right in his wheelhouse. And yeah, they've got the numbers on their side as well. So I was sort of a segue between the two, which I think that is why they liked keeping me around as well. I had a good relationship with the Bachi people. I had previous history, and so I was, albeit on the outskirts, but I was sort of in that alliance as well. So I had both sort of sides on my team.
And in your day-to-day life, are you one of the girls? Are you a girl that can fit in really well with the boys as well? Like in this case, you had to do. Did this sort of play into your strength, or you a little bit of both?
Oh, I'm definitely, like definitely good with the dudes. I used to skateboard growing up, and I was always quite tomboyish. So, I mean, I've got like the baggiest jeans you'll ever see on. I am a bit of a tomboy, but I can also fit in with girls really well as well. So I think like, bisexual girl things, you can fit in with both. Like I can get along really well with guys. There was, the farts in that room were disgusting, and there was the girly parts of me did come out at times. I was telling these boys to clean up, and I kind of became like the mother figure of the three. Yeah. But yeah, it wasn't hard for me to adapt to. They were so respectful. Like they'd all leave the room. You don't have much privacy in there. So like the shower is the only room. So when I would have a shower, they'd leave so that just in case, to make sure I had my full privacy. They were all very, very respectful.
Now, this season had the algorithm as a part of its twist. How did you feel about the algorithm coming out, and obviously it being the thing that you had to go out there and deal with in getting partnerships? What was your main thoughts when you sort of saw this, and were you aware of the algorithm because it was used in the Challenge USA?
I was very aware of the algorithm. I was actually aware of a lot of things because I had been watching the Challenge USA. There wasn't overlap. So the Challenge USA was kind of halfway through when we started filming, but as soon as I walked into the arena and I saw the box, it was closed, and I said, that's the algorithm. I know exactly what's going to happen. I had anticipated anyway that we may be able to choose our partners for the first challenge and then go into the algorithm. And I was kind of telling everyone, it was quite funny. I was like, oh, that's the algorithm. And they were like, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, you're all going to see. So yeah, I had some idea of what we're going to do, and even some of the daily challenges were the same. So yeah, I had a bit of an inkling as to what was going on. Hated it, absolutely despised the algorithm. I would love to do like a ride or dies kind of situation where you get to choose your partner and have that partner throughout. That would be amazing. But yeah, that's the challenge. You never know what's going to happen, and it's always a spanner in the works.
Now, one more question for you before I give you an opportunity to also let people know where they can follow you and what you're up to next. For us as fans, we can only sort of look at it and envision what it would feel like to be in the arena doing an elimination. You were actually out there. Can you describe what it feels like when you're out there having to compete for your life in the game?
Man, it's terrifying. Like that sand is really loose. So like imagine doing these extreme sports on a beach. That's what it feels like. But also the other players look like this ominous force watching you, and you can't hear who they're cheering for, but you'll hear the odd, name being thrown out, and you I don't know why, but like I kept thinking like, oh, they're not cheering for me, they all hate me. And I feel like I almost blacked out while I was doing the actual challenge. So like go, 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 go. But yeah, it's just as ominous and just as scary in person, if not more so, than you would ever imagine. But it's such an honor to be in there as well. It's pretty damn cool.
You definitely, have my endorsement, and I'm sure there's a lot of fans out there that would love to see you come back and play the show again. It's been a lot of fun watching you this season. Where can people find you? What are you up to next? I'll make sure to put links on the description of this video on my channel as well, but where can people find you?
My Instagram handle is at Jessica_Brody, which is spelled Brody. I don't have any other social media other than Instagram. I'm just chilling. I'm a tattooist, so I work my normal little job and do my normal little life. But yeah, if anybody wants to follow me on Instagram, send me a message. Tell me if you like the show. Like, it's always appreciated.
Thank you. Appreciate that.